Could we be living in what's called a galactic zoo? Aliens discovered us long ago, and they just watch. We're like a zoo. Tourists come, they take a peek over at what humans are doing. Maybe there's some dramatic intervention every so often to prevent complete global catastrophe. Maybe that's why some of these big phenomenon, these big stories, these big things that happen where everyone questions whether or not they're conspiracies, and there are weird things behind them. Maybe it's because it's alien intervention, not a simulation. Simulation theory being that we're in a video game or a simulation computer program. Maybe it's alien intervention. Now, I certainly don't believe that's true, but I think it's fun to talk about these ideas, especially when they pop up in the news. And I do have a story for all of you, because I worked at Chicago's O'Hare Airport from 2004 to 2006. I believe that was the time period. And it was shortly after I left, there was a major UFO sighting. My brother worked there for the stories. I've had friends who worked there. But we'll start with this, and we'll get into that story in a second. Could aliens have found humans first without us realizing it? Scientists claim intelligent beings could be quietly watching humankind in a galactic zoo to protect us from the distressing truth of their existence. Researchers gathered in Paris this week for the METI International meeting. They discussed possibilities for why we may not yet have found signs of alien life. Some say aliens could have found us first. This is according to a group of scientists who gathered this week in Paris to discuss why, despite decades of searching and the high probability that life exists beyond our own atmosphere, we've yet to make contact. One possibility, albeit unflattering, could be that intelligent aliens are intentionally shielding us from the truth because humans would struggle to cope with the reality of their existence. I think one of the reasons when we look at shows like Star Trek is that religion plays a role. There's an episode of Star Trek, and I could be mixing up my episodes, but I think this is the episode, where they find a planet that has just, so if you're not familiar, in Star Trek, there's a rule in the Federation that you can't make contact until they discover warp technology, meaning you can travel faster than the speed of light. They come across a planet that has just broken the warp barrier. Sounds so cool, man. Oh God, this would be so cool to live in that future. And they make contact with one of the top scientists. Unfortunately, they discover the planet pushed very, very quickly into scientific development while their culture was still very, very religious. And so they were concerned that if they revealed the existence of aliens, it could destroy their culture because the people didn't believe there was life outside their planet. They believed they were the chosen race, that they were created by, the almighty creator. And because of that, they ultimately decided not to reveal that aliens existed. But I believe what ended up happening is a scientist who invented warp got to go with them and leave and explore the galaxy and all that stuff. Star Trek was fantastic. But that's one of the big challenges and one of the ideas as to why aliens wouldn't reveal themselves to us yet, because we have a massive religious population that believes there's only one religion and that we're the center of the universe and that there's God and all that stuff. And there are people who are much more secular and believe in aliens. But perhaps if the aliens did reveal themselves, it would cause a shock to the system of those who are religious. Perhaps. Let's read on. Researchers at the METI International meeting proposed that aliens could be keeping us in somewhat of a galactic zoo, simply watching us without revealing themselves so as to avoid spurring cultural upset on Earth. The day-long workshop organized by METI, Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence, METI, is held every other year in Paris, according to Forbes. Scientists from all disciplines gathered at the Cité des Sciences, it's French, I'm not going to read it, L'Industrium Science Museum to explore a question that dates back to 1950, now known as the Fermi paradox, Fermi's paradox. Where is everybody? While it's an unnerving thought, some suggest extraterrestrial observers have been there all along without us realizing it. It seems likely that extraterrestrials are imposing a galactic quarantine because they realize it would be culturally disruptive for us to learn about them, said co-chair Jean-Pierre Rospars, the honorary research director at the Institut National de la... we get it. Cognitive evolution on Earth shows random features while also following predictable paths. We can expect the repeated independent emergence of intelligent species in the universe, and we should expect to see more or less similar forms of intelligence everywhere under favorable conditions. There's no reason to think that humans have reached the highest cognitive level possible. Higher levels might evolve on Earth in the future and already be reached elsewhere. To break the silence, then, researchers say, we may need to be more direct in our approach. Well, let's talk about some ideas. Maybe read on a little bit. When I left O'Hare Airport. Let me pull up the image. My brother worked there, but he didn't see it. He was actually there when it happened. But one pilot apparently pulled out his 2006 smartphone, which had a crappy camera on it, and snapped this photo of a strange object floating overhead. Some people think it was just military technology we haven't discovered yet. I think that's fair. I think it's much more likely that the U.S. government and foreign governments have technology we couldn't possibly imagine. We couldn't even dream of. The crazy experiments that they probably undertake well beyond the scope of what it, think about nuclear weapons. They were doing above ground and below ground tests. We could detect those. But don't you think maybe they've come to a point where they've developed technology, microwave weapons, for instance, that isn't going to be overt? You're not going to know they're testing it. So who knows what this was? But I'll tell you this. I had friends who worked there. I had friends who were driving to work when this happened. Someone told me there's a road outside of O'Hare called Mannheim. It's a very busy street. I was told that when this UFO dropped down above, I believe it was the sea gates, Terminal 3 or something, I think it was, that people on Mannheim Road at their stoplight got out of their cars and all looked up and saw this happen. Everyone saw this happen, like all these people around it. And you wonder why there's no footage, but it was 2006, so some people had cell phone cameras, and this was the photo that was taken. Many people reported that the disc hovered shortly, shot up through the clouds, and punched a hole in the clouds, leaving a hole. People could see it. Now, allegedly, this is the photo. I don't know for sure just what comes up. But I did pull up this story. They want me to pause on this site. Gotta get rid of the ad blocker. I'll do it just for you, Daily Herald, suburban Chicago's information source. They say, something was there. Chicago expert on O'Hare UFO government program. Really? What is this? They're making me do it. What is this nonsense? They're making me do a survey if I want to see this. What is this? What do you associate with the word Zephyr? What is that? A bird. That was weird. Let's read on. Seeing a lot of you. What is this from? This is from 2017. A New York Times expose on a secret $22 million 5-year joint venture between the military and a private aviation firm, coupled with the release of videos recorded by military aircraft, has touched off an international UFO frenzy. The program ended in 2012, according to the report. But why is this different from any other time the public's fascination with UFOs has been piqued? This shows the U.S. government is serious about it. Going on, yada, yada, yada. Illinois, I can't believe I said that, I'm from there. Illinois is not immune to UFO sightings. The National UFO Reporting Center in Washington State has logged about 3,500 such reports in Illinois dating back to the early 1980s, with the most recent coming December 9th when two observers in Vienna and Carbondale reported lights hovering in formation in the night sky. Many reports can simply be explained away, but there are several, like the 2006 incident at O'Hare International Airport, that remain a mystery. Roediger said the fascination with UFOs isn't only about little green men visiting from other planets, it's about understanding why these probably aren't alien encounters. And that's my opinion. I think that's the more likely approach. Well, we can talk about the Galactic Zoo, we can talk about Fermi's paradox and all of these ideas, why we aren't seeing life. Maybe it's just, life is rare and we have these perfect conditions. Think about what it took to make metal, to smelt metal, to extract it. Fire. So you need an environment with enough oxygen. You need the ability to create fire. Probably wouldn't work underwater. Has to be the right atmosphere. So, there's a lot of reasons we can get into, but looking at this, I think statistically, it's way more probable that what we're actually seeing is the government engaging in weapons development and technology development. And I think to a certain extent, they like the idea, the government, the people doing these things, like the idea of us believing it's aliens because it deflects off of what they're really doing. Do you think the U.S. government wants the Russians to know what kind of weapons they're developing? Absolutely not. I would be surprised if our weapons capabilities and defensive capabilities were publicly available. Hell no. It's all top secret, beyond top secret, above top secret, or whatever they call it. I'm sure we've got crazy flying ships. I'm sure we've got cloaking technology. I shouldn't say I'm sure. I'd be willing to bet. When you have these weird attacks happening in Cuba and China where people get, head trauma, if you've heard of this, crazy, like microwave attacks, they think it was some kind of foreign energy weapon. I think we're now in the territory of, look how secret the Manhattan Project was. Hundreds of thousands of people working on it. I haven't read a lot about it recently, but they all kept a secret. Why? They compartmentalize it. You don't know what you're building or why you're building or what it's going to do. Only a small group of people actually knows the final result of what's being built. Perhaps what we saw at O'Hare was someone pressing the wrong button. Imagine some dudes, you're in a new experimental vehicle, and you're like, okay, where are we going? Press this button. You push it, and they drop down below the cloud cover and go, uh-oh, what do we do? It's a new ship. I don't know. Press up, press up. And then everyone's staring at it, and they press up, and then they fly away. It's infinitely more likely, in my opinion, that we're just seeing military experiments. And it kind of sucks. You know, I wish it was aliens. I don't know if a galactic zoo would be fun or scary. Maybe it would be fun, the idea that we're really close to joining galactic federations and traveling the stars and all that stuff. But for now, maybe it's just that we're stuck on this rock drifting in a giant vacuum. And the stories are just the government, and the reason we think it's aliens is because they like the idea. Now, this I believe, because this looks familiar to me. I remember seeing the photo when it came out. I think this is the real photo. You've got a bunch of ones that I think might be fake. You know, this one looks kind of familiar, but I don't think it's real. I think people are just trying to, like this one, you know, it was really grainy, crappy photo. People are trying to Photoshop nonsense. It's not real. But these look like the legit ones. People want to believe it's aliens. I think it'd be nice, but we got no evidence so far. Something out there. Probably just weapons. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Think about that. Spend your Sunday night wondering what's out there and if we're all alone, and enjoy it. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m.